a little bit better. So, how do you emotionally, mentally, and physically deal with gopher holes and gopher tunnels? Just cleaning up the mound and making sure you don't trip over it is often not enough. Sometimes you have to use the repetitiveness in your brain, but you almost always have to have identifying factors. Oh, that's a gopher hole. Or, oh, that's a bug zapper. They're just doing what they're told and taught. They're just doing what has always been. And you have to kind of be able to tell the difference between the two. So, a bug zapper would be something that you could qualify as the entire population or everyone always. A gopher hole or a gopher tunnel would be something that may be a little bit more to you. It's on your property, it's in your land, it's in your space, and it's something that's bothering you. So there's where it kind of differentiates. There's societal problems, everyone always does this, and there's individual, why do I have these habits? Why do I keep falling over and tripping over the same mounds? Bug zapper, gopher hole. So the military uses repetitive, and then they add some physical discomfort, such as you're going to go run lots of laps, you're going to do a bunch of push-ups, you're going to be physically taxed on something if you fail whatever qualifying factor that they wanted you to do. Repetition, physical. Repetition, physical. So even if your parents didn't beat you, but you're feeling that um, training or that conditioning, sometimes there was a different physical attribute, such as if you don't eat all of your vegetables, you're going to have to go to bed hungry, or you're not going to get blank, or you're. So there might be something physical there, even if it wasn't a beating or a swatting or a something there, or you're grounded, or there might have been a physical reinforcement of that repetition that they were teaching you. Now, this is kind of good, right? We need children to learn to go to the bathroom in the potty instead of in their pants. So there's a reason that these repetitions are necessary for a lot of things. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are some habits and some repetitive training that you've gotten that is probably a good people skill. And sometimes in the mix of collapsing the ground, you need to make sure you keep the good when you toss the bad. So my mother was a professional clown. We were carny kids. Yay, fun, right? It's not so fun when you're the kid in the carny, because usually a lot of these people live in poverty. We were definitely one of those people, and you're working at a really, really young age. So child labor comes into play there. But what that did do was expose me to a huge amount of people repetitively. So I've got no issues in crowds. They don't bother me at all. I can navigate and find my way through and around. So frequently, if I'm with other people, I'll take their hand and lead them through the cause. So that was really, really good. That was repetition, going to carnival and fair and circus and dealing with 500 thousands of people and being able to navigate. That was a really, really, really good quality. However, we had a balloon stand, and my mom wandered off and did clowns. My dad did puppet shows and magic shows, so he would go do that. So we're talking small. Sometimes I look back, I'm like, how is that possible? 6, 7, 8. Me and my older brother would be left with all of the kids. Remember, there's 10 of us. So I have one older brother. 2 of us would be left in charge with all of the children and the balloon stand and helium tanks. So that's something that I'm like, oh my word. They literally left children with large things that can explode, cash that could be stolen. We had a little fence, kind of, but definitely nothing of structure. I know that was a different time, right? That's the 70s. But I learned to multitask. Yeah, yeah. It is very well ingrained in me. Taking care of the customers and the strangers, dealing with the helium, building the balloons, the babies crying, dealing with them, changing diapers, tracking around, da 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 da. So by the time I was 8, I was conditioned to be the one in charge and to be responsible and to take care of and pay attention to everything around me. I'm going to talk about prison in a little while, but believe me, that was a skill when I was in prison. I was so thankful for being able to read the room, it made me a wonderful waitress because you can pay attention to everything in your surroundings and your optics. So that, wonderful feature, wonderful quality. Sometimes when I have this started and that started and I'm running here and there, I am so thankful that I can multitask, knock out a bunch of stuff at the same time. However, I have frequently been told that I can't stay focused. I don't like cooking, multiple reasons. I don't like it, but especially if it's a sauce or a gravy or something that you actually have to just stand there and pay attention to that one thing. Some people call it ADHD. You can label it whatever you want to label it. But I kind of gave up that ability to just focus on this one little thing to be able to pay attention to the entire room. Trained, conditioned, you have to be alert at all times. You have to be paying attention to everything all of the time. Sitting there and stirring that sauce. Yeah, not my thing. Fortunately, they come in packages. Not something I really have to worry about. So, take your trauma, your events, your something, and when you're collapsing those gopher holes, try to keep in mind, hold on, are there features here that I appreciate and that I use daily and that I like and that I want to keep a hold of? So another quality, I'm going to actually use my brother's story. I didn't live there then because remember I moved out when I was young. My mother called me, I was living in another state, and she told me a story of beating one of my brothers really bad. Now, again, qualify this. I come into these things with information I already have. You came into yours with information you already have. One of the problems is that we didn't often live in houses that were intact, shall we say. So in this case, this brother lived in an attic where there wasn't necessarily flooring or walls. There were boards. They just kind of threw some some stuff down, threw a mattress on it. So he didn't have a bed. He didn't have dressers. He had if you've been up in your attic, you know how they have those beams. There was some boards put down on the beams where the bed mattress was put down. So my mom told him to clean his room, paint the front porch, and something else. Take out the trash or do the dishes or something else. So, you know, consequences in our household can be kind of bad. My brother was in cleaning his room, and my mother came up and was furious at him that he was not painting the porch because it was early in the day or whatever reason. She thought that that's what he should have been doing first. So she grabbed one of these boards full of nails and just started hitting him with it because he's supposed to be painting the porch. And he responded with, "You told me to clean my room, paint the porch, and now I'm going to do the dishes because I'm cleaning my room. I'm doing exactly what you told me to do." But to her, in her mindset, it was in the wrong order. And he should know. I don't know how old he was. He might have been 10, thinking of when I moved out and where I was. So he's male though. He took the board from her. He broke it in half. And he said he was cleaning his room. And then he'll go do the other thing. And he gave it back to her. That's reason, right? And someone who's young. So that shows a lot of fortitude on his part. So now my mom has these two boards with nails. And she just starts wailing on him. He clocked her. Knocked her out cold. Came to, told Dad. Cops got called on my brother. Yeah. What kind of reinforcement is that? Now, I wasn't there. I didn't see the event. But my mother called me and told me how badly she had overreacted and she didn't know what she was thinking and blah, 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 because my mom and I kind of grew up together. Yeah. So that kind of training, when I look back, was what all of us had. We would be given a list. This is what we're supposed to be doing. And if we're doing the wrong thing that we didn't know was the wrong thing, we're in trouble. Now, the brother told me a story about skipping. And He said he remembers Dad beating him. He doesn't remember Dad coming in the room. He doesn't remember Dad leaving the room. He just remembers skipping and then being beaten and then waking up later. So the purpose of these two stories is my brother that got beaten for cleaning his room probably associates cleaning the room with I should be doing something else. If this is what I'm doing, there's something else. I'm forgetting something. There's something else I should be doing. Doing this is the wrong thing. I need to be doing something else. Because there's that conditioning of when you're cleaning your room, you could have somebody come beat you. My brother that got caught skipping, I'm pretty sure it had nothing to do with the skipping. Probably associates skipping as bad. Because if you skip, you can get physically hurt. So there is an emotional that goes with the physical. If you do something that you have been reprimanded for or trained against, when you're doing it as a grown-up, you can have those emotional triggers. And they can be things simple like that. All I'm doing is cleaning my room, but yet I feel anxious and I feel all of this anxiety like I should be somewhere else and I should be doing something else. You're conditioned that if you're cleaning your room, you're supposed to be doing something else. It works with other things, but these are like basic day-to-day. You're just skipping and playing. So let's say he made the association with playing. That could create a workaholic in the future, because if you're playing, you're supposed to be doing something else. You can get in trouble if you're playing. Do you see what I'm saying? So sometimes you're following the rabbit hole, and sometimes you're finding that gopher hole. So if you've dealt with a lot of emotional abuse, that what you're doing is wrong all of the time, and no matter what you're doing, it's wrong. That's a gopher hole. But I need to do this. This is on my list. And you start doing it, and then you stop and you go wander somewhere else. Is that HDAD, attention deficit? Or is it that when you were a child, you were conditioned that that one thing that you're doing was the wrong thing to be doing? That could be a gopher hole. So, and they're going to be different for all of us. But again, when you're collapsing these holes and you're remembering and you're going, oh shit. No wonder I have a problem with that. No wonder. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of all of those qualities. Find a way to work around them. I love multitasking. People call me to do stuff all the time because I can multitask, which is another issue for another video. So, find your gopher holes. Usually you can find them from a mound. You've tripped over something. And there's some, you're like, oh, clean it up and reach in and go, where does this tunnel go? And make sure you collapse that ground down so that, let me give you some tips on that one. Okay, my mother, I know people are like, how do you still have a relationship with her? Is very religious. She's very religious. I know a lot of really good Christians. There are some that are really awesome. My mother's religious. And she's had a few fights with me through the years. One of which that she still believes is that God gave men all the knowledge. That somehow men are smart just from having a penis. Like, there's nothing else required. If they have a penis, they must be smart. And women were made to be stupid, basically. And so we fight about this all of the time. Of course, there's generally different fights. But my number one comeback to her is the entire Bible, like from Genesis all the way to Revelations. When they talk about wisdom, they call wisdom she. So that was a lie I learned in childhood, that men are smart and women are stupid. Because according to the Bible, her Bible, wisdom is she. So if wisdom is a she, then maybe we're not so stupid. And maybe we don't need to have a penis to be smart. I can also bring up time and time again women that have had multiple accomplishments. I myself have a great capacity for learning. Having a penis does not mean that you're smart. Not having one does not mean that you're stupid. That's a gopher hole. But I remember fighting in school and trying to learn stuff that, because I'm a girl. That's a gopher hole. I had to collapse those tunnels. I had to say, no, I'm a girl, but that doesn't make me stupid. And then I've dealt with a lot of men that I've kind of been like, oh, okay, because he said. And then I do the math, or I run the numbers, or I do something, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you're right. And I have a lot more experiences that have reinforced that. That men can say, but that doesn't mean they're right. But that gets into the gender thing. You have to take it person to person. Not all men are stupid. Not all women are stupid. There are people that spend more time learning stuff, is how I'm going to put that. Go for hole. Find it, clean it up, collapse the tunnel, and then. So now I don't really have a problem with it. She says it, and I laugh at her. I remind her wisdom is she, and I move on with the day.